What's going on, everybody? Today is Friday, Aloha Friday. It's October 20th, and you are watching and listening to the Daily AI Show live. And we are super excited that you're here. We got most of the crew, just missing Aaron, so it's nice to see most of us back today. I know Aaron will be back next week. And today, outside of the fact that it's Aloha Friday, and we're all wearing Aloha shirts.
Oops, darn it, I forgot.
Bah humbug, says Robert.
I'm like black. I'm heading to a funeral as what's his face says.
You know, are you really?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, what's his face?
Okay. Because like
Johnny Cash. He's like,
going
to a funeral.
I wasn't sure where we were going with that. I was like, I don't know who what's his face is. So today, guys, we're talking about our conversations about AI innovation. So asking the box to think outside the box is what we have our title as. And the idea here is, as I choke, excuse me, the idea here is that, you know, we've had lots of conversations about how you can do prompting. You can get ChatGPT, we all know, will write a decent email for you. It will do some other, as we would consider, and we sort of internally would call those low-hanging fruit. Not that that's not a great use case, but we've been doing this for months now. So now I think the cool conversation for today, it's kind of perfect for a Friday, is to just sort of expand a little bit and step back and go like, well, what other ways can AI be creative? What other ways can we truly start thinking outside the box? I actually have a cool use case that we put in the show notes, UCI's AI Innovation Challenge, which I think is just probably one of many that are out there, and really cool ways that we're bringing students into the fold to solve big problems in things like Jimmy, like in storytelling, which I know you're probably all over, healthcare, which I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the innovations that I think we can do there. So that's sort of where the context of the show was, but I'm more than happy. I don't know if anybody kind of came into this thinking, oh, I definitely want to talk about this particular topic. So open it up to the group and kind of see where this goes.
I want to just put, because this is the way I think, is what is it about the LLMs that enables them to be creative thinkers? And what I'm going to just posit is that there are two things that occur in my mind that suggest, how to get an LLM to be creative, innovative, to come up with novel ideas. One is its ability to produce hundreds or thousands of answers, and you direct it to do 100 things, and it's going to have to be creative, right? It's going to have to go to the edges of its space in order to bring back enough responses. So you're going to get some novel ideas out of just its ability to do a lot. And the other one is its ability to do role play. So you can direct it to take a role, and you can describe what that role is. And if that role is an ingenious, person who is, capable of putting out really at the edge ideas, well, it's going to do its best based on an enormous volume of training to do that kind of activity. So those are the kinds of things that you're going to be touching on if you're asking the LLM not to just be rote. And then the last thing is temperature, which is this injection of randomness, if you will, in the results. So those are the three things, try to bring it down to just three, that are related to how the LLM can actually be creative.
I think further clarification, I mean, not that this is useful for, I guess, our topic, but it's interesting if you think about temperature and you think about the semantic in the vector space, the way the language models operate and the natural language processing operates. When you start to get temperature, you said randomness, and I can visualize as clear as day, they're farther apart. So like if I say, give me a good recipe for cookies, I always like talking about cookies. It's going to be really close to flour and butter and sugar, right? If I say, give me something crazy outside the box and set the temperature to craziness, it might use olive oil. It might go, and those are not commonly associated with cookies, but have been done. So that's the beauty of the language model, is it knows all the weird variants that are weighted a lot less, or have a vector or a word association score. I'm just being generic here. This is not the true terminology, but a lower score or a lower rating, which is why the temperature thing is quite brilliant, Andy, when you're thinking about how to how to really, if you wanted to go outside the box, like, and you can't really adjust that on the language models. You have to go in the playground and do that. But if you want, it's like, I'm getting all these basic, ideas that I really just, I've heard them 100 times. I want to try something different. Now, keep in mind, if you go too far, it might start giving you weird scripts and code and gibberish and Sanskrit. I mean, I've just done that before. I'm like, it's not even sentence. It's not even words. So be careful about that. But I do like the idea that if you understand how language models operate, you really do have more power at your disposal.
Right.
Yeah, I think that kind of. Go ahead, Beth.
The other thing that this brings in, and it may be what June was about to say, is that language models can split themselves, or you can set it to split. And so now you have agents, right? You have independent, autonomous, which doesn't mean that it's not directed by you or you can't watch it, but agents then, like, Brian was actually showing us something pretty, which had things splitting out and then coming back together, which is a lovely model, and actually models what we do, like our autonomous agents in our physical bodies, right? Like our bodies go, boom, there's something happening, go and do all of this. And then it comes back together to okay.
That's a great visualization. A hand can't do what a nose can do. It's like that. We have autonomous agents in our body. I love that visual, Beth. It's great. It's like our body is an autonomous agent, or just different things that have subject matter expertise. This is pretty cool.
Right. A collection of different experts. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, all I was going to say was just to continue Robert's analogy of the temperature and getting further and further from, we'll say, what the norm is. I think this is best expressed as in understanding the concept and related concepts and their importance, right? Or their priority. So for example, like years ago, IBM had their Watson pick out all the clips for this movie that had come out called Morgan, right? This horror movie, to build their trailer. And so I don't know if this was probably more of a gimmick, kind of thing, because it was about a rogue AI, robot or whatnot. Let's use AI to make the trailer. But they go into a little bit of explaining how Watson did it. And basically Watson just analyzed the entire film and found the points of action and those crescendos of emotions and things like that, and use that to inform what it should choose to make a good trailer, because they gave it the concept of what is in a good movie trailer for a horror movie, right? So that's where you can see temperature, and those kinds of aspects really show itself, because the crescendo, the action is more important, and that's why that scene should be chosen, as opposed to something where the music is low or somber or quiet and there isn't a lot of stuff happening in the scene, and those kinds of things. So that's all I wanted to dive into, is where AI attributes the importance of choosing what is creative or what's further from what your original thoughts were.
And I would love to just carry on that conversation, because I think movie making in general might be a great analogy for sort of this idea of AI and creativity, because everything you just said, Jimmy, still requires a human in that loop that has I would say a solid amount of specific knowledge, niche knowledge in what makes a good, what are the parameters that create a good trailer? What are the parameters that, the AI can create it up to a certain point. The AI might be able to do that on its own based on pre-trained data, but more than likely, and what we're seeing across the board, is that it really does require this industry specific knowledge to assist the AI to be even more creative, to take that next leap. And maybe we won't, as models evolve, I would imagine models, or if they already don't exist, each movie studio will have its own language model that's finally trained on how they make movies, whether it's small budget or big blockbusters or whatever. But also what I think you'll see is even more niche models. So your lighting techs, and I don't know enough about movie making, but your lighting techs, your storyboarders, your whatevers, your scene, your costume designers, all these different individual pieces. All these people are amazingly creative. But what I think the future is, and where AI is really going to take creativity to the next level, is I might actually be a great costume designer. I'm not, but if I might be, right in my mind, I might be, and I might say I'm good with a needle and thread, and I can do whatever. But I may not be able to, because of limitations of education, where I lived, socioeconomic type issues or whatever. I may not have the resources at my disposal at some great college down the road or university in order to get me to that next level. But if I have the know-how, if I have the knowledge, if I have the industry expertise, I can lean now on AI as that copilot to become super creative and take that next leap. And so I'm waiting for, as this proliferates and gets out more into the world, and not just the US, but out into countries that would not have this type of technology. I'm waiting for this sort of explosion of creativity renaissance that I believe will happen when more people and there's more equity to these AI tools. Because I think there's locked genius that are completely siloed in a person, and the genius doesn't have a path to get out. But when they absolutely get access to the creativity tools that AI can provide them.
Yeah, and the only reason I would object with that is that at this particular state, it isn't customizable enough yet. Like, if I was, for example, I was at Apple Store getting my new phone, and the lady helping me was an artist, and while we were waiting, she was talking about all the art she does, and she's never heard of AI. So I was like, okay, well, I'm about to blow your mind. So I just did a Mid-Journey thing. And what was interesting is she does pinup robots. That's what she does. She likes to do a robot that's a pinup, and, bomber style, 1930s, really creative stuff, right? All on paint, on canvas. And I was like, so I showed it to her, and she's like, what? And I did a quick little robot. It was beautiful, of course. Of course, it flagged me for pinup. It didn't like pinup. Whatever. But my point was that I showed it to her, and I go, and she's like, well, how do I use it? It's like, think of it as a really cool new paintbrush that you just found.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's how you can now I can't think the way you can. Like, if I took an iPad and tried to do art, I'm like, it would look stupid. It's a great tool, but I have no concept of art. My brain doesn't work that way, except for photography. So, but for her, she might be able to do something with it that I can't. So I don't know, but right now it's not directable enough. Like, if I want to tell the Mid-Journey to do some kind of brushstroke thing that she learned in college, I will it be able to listen to that? Who knows? That's one point. But I want to go back to another thing, innovation topic. So I was at a conference this past week, and did a session, led a session on AI. It was brilliant. It was very, very, lots of feedback I'll give you all later. But there's another session that was on AI, and obviously everybody's talking about AI these days. We're in the franchise industry, so it was a franchise conference. These are franchisors, or people that are in the franchise industry and selling franchises. And on the panel at the top, it was asked the question, well, let's give me a crystal ball. Where do you see AI going? So if this is the topic of innovation, right? And one of the ones that I thought was brilliant, because a lot of these were restaurant franchises and different brands. The lady said, I fully see augmented reality. I know this is different from generative AI that we talk about often, but they see training happening in augmented reality. Like, you'd have a meta kind of restaurant all done, and the person's walking around and being able to be trained on how to cook or how to do a recipe or how to. I thought that was pretty ingenious. So, and I tell this to people all the time with innovation, the topic of innovation. We got to go to where the puck's going, and unfortunately, our brains can't quite get there. It's like we're actually trying to be innovative, and the puck already passed. Oh, crap. Okay, try it again. And it's like we're constantly trying to see where it's going, and it's already there. So I don't think our brains are capable of being innovative enough to see what's actually where it's going with everything. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm doing it, Brian.
No, I don't think you're rambling at all. It's where I actually created a video on where I talked about Lumiere's law, where we're still thinking this new technology in the lens of the old technology. So we're using it through that lens, and we keep using it until we actually understand it enough to be able to use it in its native capacity. Right. So that's where I think we're all going. We're still trying to, you know, put it in these boxes that we've built. Like, imagine when either the internet came out, when social just first came out, we're still trying to, this is the this of this. You know how people say this is the Tesla of this. I'm like, no, Tesla is Tesla. You like, this is something new.
Google was the yellow pages of
yes,
or the Uber of whatever. Uber to everything.
Yes. Well, I wanted to just go back, and because I was on a podcast with a fellow a filmmaker yesterday, and we were talking about AI and video production, and we were saying how the indie filmmaker literally can become the Spielberg filmmaker, or has all the tools of Spielberg filmmaker in their pocket. Like, it's not very long. Like, we've already starting to see the being able to drag and drop CGI into just regular films. And I was thinking, imagine like the ability to take any actor you want that's licensed, that they've licensed their image in their face.
Right.
But imagine just taking that and be like, I want to create this movie. So you go to ChatGPT, like, write me a script like Quentin Tarantino about this, whatever it is. Then you take that, and then you can build like a storyboard around that. Then you build your video around that. And then, you know, put the actors that you want, the young version of, I don't know, Morgan Freeman, and then the old version of Zac Efron, like whatever that combination that you put it into a movie. And then in the movie, you're like, well, I can't shoot at the Sistine Chapel. I can't shoot in Prague. Well, guess what? I'm just going to edit my background to see if it is being shot in Prague. Right. Now I have the entire world, like the elevation of creativity with that alone will be ridiculous for these indie filmmakers who there's no way you can afford these multi-million-dollar shoots.
So, and brilliant as that is, Carl, I think you're also not, the puck's already past you, because there's a guy I follow, and I don't agree with everything he says, but he says what you just said will be done by you on your couch with your Netflix remote. You're going to say all that. So it's not indie filmmaker. It's going to be, I mean, this is a way off, but that's where he sees it. Everybody's going to have curated content with exactly the topic you said. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what he thinks is going.
Yeah, I think you'll find a version of that. I think I agree that you will find a version of that the studios will definitely want to create that feature as part of their service, right? That I don't necessarily think that's going to be a good thing. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of steps that will need to be handled before that happens. But I am pretty sure there'll be a form of that, and it will probably be in the animation world first, right? You're stitched together. I think the biggest limitation to implementing that or what comes out of it is it'll be very formulaic, right? And that's not to say that there isn't established formulas in storytelling and narratives and famous people like lining out, this is the 3-act structure and those kinds of things. And those are all just systems and formulas that could be plugged into an AI generator. And so yes, there'll probably be a form. I think we'll have to be careful when we go to that. When it crosses between live action or what looks like live action,
right. I mean, if you think about the Matrix, the second Matrix movie, I mean, how bad were those CGIs of him? I mean, I remember watching him, being, this is terrible. He's all hunched over, and it was a weird rendering. I mean, right now we could probably do better than that with just an iPhone and AI. But I want to shift gears because we only have a few minutes left, because I want to go back to something that's interesting to me. I'm going to get y'all's thoughts.
Can I hit one quick thing on Jimmy before you do that, before you shift gears? I'm just finished on the Netflix thing because you guys were just talking about it. Like, here's where I think this is going. A la a American Idol or whatever. On Sunday night, Netflix says, okay, submit your votes for the next thing. And everybody who's on their couch or whatever has the means to do this submits a 2-minute trailer for their idea, because we know it all comes down to a damn good story. It's got to be a good story. Pixar crushes on the good story. They focus on that more than anything else they do, for good reason. They've got to have a good story. Then it gets upvoted through the week, and the movie premieres on Friday night for the family to sit down and watch together. Like,
that's cool.
I absolutely believe that's a future event. And Netflix would be extremely smart to do that. Every week, the entire world of Korean films and whatever, you know, like all these people could submit these ideas. And on Friday, you could be watching the full feature length, hour and a half. Maybe it's just an animation or something
and
like
Netflix
that.
may be too big to take that opportunity. So Netflix coming to a screen near you soon.
Netflix. All right. So back on the topic of innovation and asking the box to think outside itself. So the assumption is that the AI can be really good at ideation that's even outside of where your brain can go with it, right? But let me just throw this little nugget out here. It's been said that we're getting to the limit of human generated content. Like, we're getting to the point where there's not going to be anything that the language models can be trained on, because they trained on everything. Okay, so what do you have to say about that as a premise, and how can it then do innovation when it's basically going to have to go inside of itself? And then that's like a really weird feedback loop. So it's going to innovate, and which currently people say it can't.
Carl,
I'll use it. I'm going to use an example. So everything that you ask an LLM to do is in natural language is a prompt, right? So we've studied structured prompts, and one of the elements of a really good prompt is to give the LLM an example or multiple examples of what it is that you want it to do, and it's a kind of instruction to the LLM. And I'm leading to the answer to your question that I have, Robert, which is, let's suppose in the context of asking an LLM to stretch its creative abilities, I give it examples of, okay, here's a question, and here are the 3 expected responses, and here's 3 unexpected responses. And I build those examples in a way that show the LLM, outside of its training, that there are valid responses that are unexpected, that are way at the edge cases. Now, I think it's...
Did you create those unexpected responses yourself?
Yeah, you're going to have to build those creative examples and give those to the LLM. So let's just use the terminology. Okay, you can use words in your prompts that will generate kind of a kind of creative response. Like, give me new insights, for example, is one phrasing, and it has enough experience in its large training sets to know, okay, here's an example of somebody who put forward what was described as a new insight in the text. Okay, so it has some examples, but we're going to give it very specific examples of how to generate something that's novel and outside the box. You give them those examples, and then it will do the same kind of transformation of expected and unexpected for anything that you prompt it with. If that's a part of its training example within the prompt.
And
so
you can
get an LLM to be creative by example.
Right. You can few shot that as well. You guys have seen the fusion kind of art that I do in Midjourney with action figures that take 2 animals and make them sort of interesting, and then make an action figure out of it. That I have generated. I know I talk badly about Bard periodically, but Bard and I are friends for this. I have given some examples of the kinds of fusion that I think work, and then just said, give me 10 more of these. I didn't even need to describe it. I just needed to give a couple examples of what I was doing.
But what about the definition of innovation, the truest, purest sense of that, when it's not going to be able to be using training data? Is the language models capable of that? Now really think about this. It can't be anything that's ever been said in the history. So we have to actually literally asking it to innovate, like creating a new cure to a disease. Like it's never been done before, but it's based on the rules of science and the rules of chemistry, right? Truly innovating. Is that even possible?
It is
happened
possible.
for
I have
drugs.
I've been listening to the new book by Mustafa Suleyman, and he has this aha moment that he describes, where one of their deep learning models is playing the game, which is the one where, you know, it's a paddle that's sending the ball up and eliminating rows. Okay, so they let the AI play this game over and over in order to improve its ability. It had to learn first, you know, how the whole thing worked. Like, I've got to get the paddle here and have it hit something in order to increase my score.
Right.
Well, eventually it developed something that no human had ever done as a strategy for winning that game. And what it was it drilled a hole directly up through the center of the column. And then the last ball that went up there just kind of pinged around and hit all the rest of them down. And it blew away any performance that a human had ever done with that game. That's innovation.
You may Robert, have to be a certain age in order to like have that visual, but those of us who have done that, like, wow, that's like mind blowing.
Yeah. So and just the point from your original question, Robert, I think this is an excellent opportunity to encourage and motivate more creativity and innovation on the human side. Right. When you have loaded everything into the AI and it is spitting out all of that stuff constantly, this is an excellent reason why humans should be encouraged to innovate, to create.
Yeah, but it's going to outpace us. It's going to get out. It's going to go fast. Once it gets to a point where it's doing that, once it's exhausted all the human data, and it's going to have to start innovating. It's going to come up with technologies and inventions and in cures to cancer and things that it's going to leapfrog us. I hope in some ways, and I don't hope in other ways, but I feel like that's the true innovation of this tool is when we reach its ability to be like, you humans are slowing me down. That's
I will say one thing. I'll say one thing to that. In like any ecosystem, competition is good for the health of the herd. So if we have just created our own competition, as long as we can maintain balance and not be leapfrog too much, that's just going to make us better.
We're basically inviting Superman to play football with us, and so
if we all have a piece of kryptonite, I'm not too worried.
There you go. All right.
This is where Jurassic Park is like, I don't know.
That's a good comeback.
The leapfrog looks at us as the height of ability, and if we can't control our world around us, that we're in trouble. And like, there's a bunch of things we can't control. What we're really looking for is ways of collaboration, and we need to understand and be curious, right? Like I'm not immune to the existential stuff, okay? But what happens if I don't want to control? What happens if I am saying, show me something really cool you can do? That's amazing. What I want to do, like, now I want to add to it. Now we're improvising together, and AI is my second favorite improv. If anybody's watching.
Yeah, I think I actually read this story recently about AI and humans working together. Right, it's a sci-fi, but the premise was that any intelligent species that creates an AI, right, it's going to outpace them, and then AI is going to turn into Terminator mode because it knows that it's better and it's going to eliminate any problems. But that's because the concept was based off of themselves. And the way that the story plays out is humans work with AI perfectly fine is because they based AIs off of man's best friend. So I think that's an angle.
I've heard the argument before, but there ain't no strings on me. Don't forget, there's Avengers, but there's all kinds of situations where the AI obviously. What was I going to say? Shoot, go ahead. I guess it's time for TLDR.
There's a question in the comments that I'd like to address.
Okay.
Yeah, what is the difference between innovation and gap analysis? Well, I don't have the definitive answer for this, but my reaction to that is that the gap analysis identifies areas or application spaces that are open to innovation, right? Because there's something that's missing. That gap is there's some satisfaction of the market space that it's not there, and so now you can do something that will fill it. That could be innovative. It could just be that there's a structural impediment to the delivery of that particular thing, but that'll require innovation in order to get around those structural impediments. So innovation is the answer to the opportunity that is presented by gap analysis.
Right. And Seamus is a colleague, so that was, I think, there was more. He knows the answer. He just wanted to see what we had to say. But I think you nailed it right on the head. Gap analysis obviously is what that is. Innovation is above the fold, is above the current everything. So anyway, we are at TLDR time. Sorry.
Before we get to the other, wouldn't you say innovation though isn't just creating something new, but taking a bunch of things that are already created and turning it into something new? So you have
something new. You just said it. Something new.
Yeah, but you've taken your inspiration to create that new thing is from things that have been created in the past.
When has that ever not happened?
Exactly.
Like when is something never built upon something before?
Exactly. So hence that when we talk about an AI doing it, wouldn't it just take a whole bunch of stuff that it's
but yes, I agree, but there might be a farther leap. It may have taken what it has and then gone this far, like, fire to fireworks or gunpowder to fireworks. That's an easy leap, right? Or whatever. But going way up here, like, oh, we decide we want to have a teleportation. Like, okay, I used electricity, used a lot of these other things, but teleporting people, that's a little bit of a leap from where we are now.
But not fire to fire is a hell of a leap, right? And then the likely innovation that happened was, how can I control this? How can I capture this? It was an ability that was given, and then we played with it.
I know we're out of time, but I did put this in the notes, so I want to at least share this super quick and just make people aware of it. Is University of Irvine has this challenge. And I used to live in Irvine for a brief moment in my life. So I'm a fan of this, but it's an innovation challenge. And they're focusing on 3 different areas: innovators, media, there's storytelling, healthcare, and I'd have to look at the third one. But if you just look at this message or mission, our mission is to empower every participant, regardless of their background, to harness the transformative power of AI through collaboration, education, and innovation. We strive to address real-world changes and foster a future where AI is not only complements human endeavor, but elevates it. Kind of what we were just saying. Together, we're not just exploring the potential of AI, we're defining its future. And I just think it's like, oh, here we go. Here are the 3 areas: health impact, story and entertainment, and student experiences. So look, this probably isn't the only one that's out there right now, but I love that these are out there, and they're asking students and educators to push the envelopes of where innovation is and what that means. And then lastly here is, like, not to get into it, but this came out in the last news, and this is the Disney robot.
Yeah, walked around Disneyland, Disney World.
Yeah, and then my point to it, though, is the whole reason for bringing this up is that robot was because we brought it up earlier. That robot is a great example of it was not taught how to walk. It was simply given a guidance, a guidelines of what the intended output was, and through AI and iterations, it learned how to walk and stay on its 2 feet, which is really, really hard to do. We've seen the Boston Robotics and things like that. So just, even though it's not like what we're always thinking about, like we don't go to like robotics same way, we're not always talking about like AR and VR. I think it's really interesting to see how creativity for letting AI go and be creative itself to produce things like this that are actually going to make a lot of kids laugh and smile and giggle at like Disney at Land and Disney World and things like that. I just think it's super, super cool to see stuff like that that's like coming back into the entertainment. So
I've already put down payment on my my robot from Elon. So let's go ahead and 20 grand. He's gonna be washing the dishes, doing laundry. I'm gonna love it. Just kidding.
All right, so let's wrap it up with a really, really quick TLDR. Make it a lightning round. 1 sentence on future of AI innovation? Go.
Be curious.
Brian?
Oh God, I was next. Lean on the youth.
You know, the Ute?
The youth.
The two Utes, the two Utes.
The Ute. Okay, yeah.
TH.
Ask AI for the unexpected.
Carl?
It must be profound.
Okay, I got one.
Don't let us down.
Just keep asking. How's that?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. AI is coming for you. That's all there is to it. It's coming for you. But I mean, so, it's like, are you ready?
Figure out how to make robot cookies, everybody.
You better.
Which connotation of coming are you using in that?
It's coming for you. Okay, again.
And that's the end of this lightning round. Now, what's your meaning?
I'll wrap it up with look to the artist for inspiration in AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I thought for a second that lightning round was going to take longer than our regular TLC. I thought, ooh, this is going to be a rough way to end a Friday.
Never tell us to be succinct and only use one word. That's mean.
Yeah, none of us are good at that. I'm definitely not good at that. So, all right, that's it. That's the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a good Friday discussion. I was thinking on this one, guys, that we're definitely going to have to maybe a little bit into November as we're thinking about it, but definitely our predictions for what's coming in 2024. I think that'll be a super fun show. So just an idea for what'll come, but I think it'll be really fun for us to all guess and then probably be terribly wrong. Once we can think about it in a year from now. We're on show, whatever it is, 200 and something, and go, wow, we totally missed the boat on that one. So that'll be coming up hopefully in the next month or so as we wrap up 2023. But for now, we'll say goodbye, aloha, and we will see you guys next week for 5 more shows. See ya.
Aloha.
Yep.
I think we gotta get some aloha music here instead of rock music.
All right.
Good for Friday.